Daniel Kelvin Bullock, and I am the Executive Director for Equity Affairs, and this is...
My name is Jermaine Porter. I'm the Coordinator for Voice of Color Initiative for Durham Public Schools.
And we would like to welcome you all to our second installment of the Barbershop Talk series. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here this evening. We are really excited about this series and this conversation that we have started in our district. The purpose of the conversation is to understand a little bit more about the experiences, particularly for boys of color in Durham Public Schools, to discuss the things that are going well in our school system for them and the challenges we face in improving our systems. The last time we came together back in February, we had a panel that featured principals, assistant principals, teachers, and district leaders. And they shared some of the things that they're doing to improve systems, specifically for boys of color. There were some great reflections made as we had one principal talk about the experiences of noticing that if there's a group of black males, specifically, or for example, in the cafeteria, and they start to move together in a group, then sometimes the adults' eyes will follow that group of black males out of suspicion that they may be up to something or something may be about to happen. And as we talk to students of color across our district, and this isn't just something specific to Durham Public Schools, but something common for students of color in our district, across the state of North Carolina, and across the country, students will let you know that sometimes they feel like there's some extra surveillance over their movement and over their activity in schools. And so principals, we've been engaging in conversations with them about these types of issues. We've been talking to district leaders and thinking about how do we start to check the biases that we have, the biases that we may bring to the educational setting that might lead to disproportionate outcomes, particularly for students of color. And with our new strategic plan in the district, not only are we thinking about professional development, but we're also thinking about our recruitment strategies. I'm sure everyone noticed the Human Resources Department outside. Yes, we are looking for educators. We specifically, we are looking at closing the gap for the number of Latino educators we have in the district, and also just looking for educators of color in general who are interested in serving and investing in the lives of the students that we have here in Durham Public Schools. So again, this evening, we're transitioning a bit. Last time we had adults featured in this conversation. Today we have students that are going to be at the center of the conversation. Give a round of applause for us having the students up here. Please understand it is no small feat to come up here and sit before an audience like this as a 16, 17-year-old and have this conversation. And it's important for us to understand that our students, they're not here to represent all boys of color for the district, but they are here to give us a glimpse into the experiences of some of our students in our district. So we're really excited about the panel we have featured here this evening, and we hope that you will welcome them with open arms as they come out here to share just a little bit about their experiences, not just as high school students, but also elementary and middle school experiences. At this time, I'll yield to Mr. Jermaine Porter, and he'll tell us a little bit more about our next steps this evening. Thank you.
So once again, thank you, Dr. Bullock. I'm so excited that all of you decided to join us, and we are actually streaming live on YouTube, courtesy of our wonderful Public Affairs Department. So you might not see people in the building, but they're streaming from their homes, from their offices, in their cars, in the gym, and we welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Barbershop for our second series. In our first series, we had an awesome opening speaker. We had our superintendent, Dr. Mubenga. So me and Dr. Bullock were like, Doctor, we've got to find somebody who's willing to come into the barbershop and tell them exactly how it is. When I first came to Durham Public Schools, someone came to my office and they said, I need to know, I'm looking for the coordinator for boys of color. And he walked in and he said, my name is Mike Lee. So I did my homework, I knew who he was. And for me, coming from another district and being not in a position to be as personal as I am now with the board, I counted it a privilege that he would think enough of me to come and speak to me. So I counted a privilege to introduce to everyone in this room our board chairman, Mr. Mike Lee.
I'm really happy about this series. I'm really happy about this series because as a child growing up, the barbershop was an extremely important place for me. You have to understand, my dad was in the Air Force. He was an officer, he was an aviator, and so a lot of my childhood I was around white individuals. But the place that I learned a lot about myself and our culture and who I am and what I needed to do was in the barbershop. And a lot of times it was an older gentleman who was just kind of talking about history and information. But this particular series today is kind of reverse of that, right? We have students coming up here today to inform us or to help us remember what it was like to be in high school. Now, so I'm 45 today. I turned 45, and and I was telling them backstage, I didn't have to deal with half of the stuff they have to deal with. And so this conversation is very important for us to get a reminder of what it is that our students are dealing with every day. And I had a stark reminder this past weekend, not this weekend, the weekend before. I was actually in Philadelphia for the School Boards Association. And when we go to those conferences, I like to dress up a little bit. I dress nice. You know, I wear nice shoes, pants, sometimes I wear a tie. But 4 times in the elevator in my hotel room, I would get in, going up to my hotel room, I would get in, and it would always be an older white lady there, and she would always clutch her purse. Now, I'm dressed nice now. Not that that really means much, but I didn't need her purse. She didn't know that. And I remember distinctly, and I was thinking about what I was going to say here today. I remember distinctly, I got in the elevator one time. I was actually wearing this sport coat. I was repping my DPS pin. And there was 2 younger, maybe teenage young ladies to get in. And so, you know, we pushed the elevator button, and they looked at me, and they scooted over. And so I did something that was kind of instinctive. I wanted to make sure that they were not uncomfortable. And so I scooted over to the corner, and I held my head down there. And I realized we were going to the same floor. And I kind of did this, because I could feel them being uncomfortable. So I had to kind of come out of myself. Now, my friends, my family, they know I'm a pretty jovial person. You know, I speak to everyone. But at that moment, I had to be someone that I was not, so I don't make them uncomfortable. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and a lot of rumors or even stories being told. So I had to stand there. And I stood there, and we were all going to the 9th floor. And I waited for them to get off. I waited for them to walk on before I got off. And we actually going the same way, but the way you get out of the elevator, you could go a different way. I decided to go a different way to slow down. Now, our students have a lifetime to have to experience that. They shouldn't have to change who they are in our schools. They shouldn't have to do that to make a teacher feel better. They shouldn't have to change who they are to not get sent to in-school suspension, right? And so what we're going to hear up here, and I told them, you know, there's a lot of confusion in the subjective manner in which punishments are handed out. You know, like I was telling, you could have 2 different experiences, 2 different teachers or administrators And like you could be clowning around a little bit, saying a couple things, you know, with your friends. And one teacher might see that as, oh, that's misbehavior, you gotta go. But another teacher who understands a little bit better about our teenagers, our high schoolers, go, man, get on down the hall. That's what I think this particular conversation should help inform us. Right? Obviously, in high school, you don't know everything. We still don't know everything. But this has to be a continuous conversation because things are continuing to change. And we have to use this as a subset of our information in changing our policies, updating our policies in our schools, and even on the district level. So as we listen to our students talk about their experiences in school, as we listen to our students talk about how they interpret some of the things that we do as a district, as parents, as teachers, administrators, superintendent, and then all the way up to the board, we have to remember them in everything that we do. That doesn't mean they say you have to stop suspensions and we just stop suspensions. That doesn't mean they say I should be able to run up and down the hallway because that's just how I was raised. No. But we have to take that into consideration. We have to understand where each one of our children come from. Now, a lot of administrators in here have probably heard me talk about our logo and talking about how the logo represents us reaching our children in different places. This is no different from DPS reaching our children where they are, understanding their culture, understanding where they're coming from, and understanding the nature of our subjective nature and discipline. So let's take a moment when they come out, let's listen. Listen, not just hear the words, but listen to their experiences. Listen to how their days are in school. Listen how they have to change themselves just to not get in-school suspension. Like I had to change myself in the elevator. Let's listen. And that's all I ask from you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. But before you go, we appreciate you. Before you go. So today, we appreciate you coming. But it's a special day for you that you decided that you would spend your birthday with us. So, I'm not a singer. I don't profess to be a singer. So if I get somebody to start it for me, that'd be outstanding. Do I have any volunteers? Maybe. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear heart. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. So, real quick, how many of y'all like the shirts that you've been seeing people wear? You like the shirt? All right, so here's an opportunity for you to get a shirt, right? So, on Twitter, you need to take a picture, a selfie of yourself or a groupie here while this is going on. Hashtag DPS Be Taught. You need to tweet something you hear that someone else needs to hear that is not here. You can do those two things. Limited sizes we have available. Limited number we have available. But at the end of the night, we will verify that you've done those two things. And make sure, if you're not following Durham Public Schools, that's the third one, you need to follow them on Twitter. That goes for you too. Just follow even though you can't win a shirt. All right? So, also, if you have questions, we're not going to ask that you walk down to the microphone this time, because we don't have that long. So what I'm going to ask you to do is if you would go onto your smartphone and you type in this bit.ly, it will send you to a form that you can ask as many you can submit as many questions as you like. I'm not telling you that your question will be answered. But I'm telling you, you will get, tonight it will not be answered. But I'm telling you, we'll get an answer to you. All right? So we are going to, that is something that we are going to implement. We have a wonderful moderator tonight. He is our director, one of the directors for student services, Dr. Al Royster. He is going to be doing all the moderating this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, when he calls these students up, I need you to get on your feet. I need you to give them some love. We intentionally will not tell you the name of the school these students attend because we're not talking about the schools they attend. We're talking about the students and their stories. And I want you guys to understand that. All right, so when they stand up, he's going to call each of them individually. We have some wonderful gifts for them. If you did not receive a ticket on your way in, somebody's eating free at Zaxby's for a family of 4 tonight if you choose to go. We have umbrellas, we have some portfolios from Zaxby's, as well as we're going to give a couple t-shirts away if your number is selected. So, I'm handing over to Dr. Royster. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Again, I'm Al Royster. I'll be the moderator tonight. And as mentioned, as Dr. Bullock mentioned earlier today, earlier this evening, it takes a lot of courage for them to get up there. So as Mr. Porter said, when they come out, I need you to get on your feet. I need you to get loud. I need you to show them some love. Can y'all do that for me? Can y'all do that for me? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DPS Barbershop Talk Series presented by the Office of Equity Affairs and Boys of Color Initiative. And now, let's meet and greet your student panelists. Coming to the stage, our first panelist is a freshman who loves working out, Mr. Fred Cooley. Our second panelist is a senior who mentors minority students at Duke University, Mr. Michael Graham. Our third panelist is a sophomore who loves to play sports and make money, Mr. Ronald Hernandez Soriano. Our fourth panelist is a senior who loves to play football, Mr. David Mazivankia. And our fifth panelist is a sophomore who loves playing basketball, Mr. Dante Alexander. Let's give these gentlemen another round of applause. Gentlemen, good evening. I got a chance to meet most of you before, so I'm going to be your moderator. What we're going to do is we're going to have a series of questions we're going to ask you. I'll probably pick someone to start the initial conversation with the questions, and then after that one or two, then you're welcome. Anybody else wants to chime in. All right, sound good? All right, so let's go ahead and start with the first one. This is actually to all of you, so I need all of you to answer this first question. Please share your goals after high school and explain why you agreed to participate on this panel.
My goals after high school is, like, the first thing I want to do is get my diploma. And I'm thinking about being a mechanic after high school, like going into engineering. And the reason why I chose to spoke on here is, like, because I want everybody, like, to know they can do better for themselves and, like, just don't give up.
My main goals is I want to attend either NCCU or A&T and graduate with a degree in either software engineering and a minor in dance. My long-term goal is to work at Google or be a professional choreographer. The main reason I accepted this is because I'm the spokesperson for the Black Student Union at my school, and I used to be a totally different person before I even got involved with stuff like this. So I just want to show I can make a difference, like my homie had said.
My goals after high school really is I want to go to an art school and become a tattoo artist. If not, I want to start my own business. Or right now I'm working at a farm, so I might do that on the side too. But the reason I came up here because I had a dream that that I could inspire young children.
After finishing high school, I'll be attending Harvard University. And I'll be trying to get a degree in biomedical engineering, either becoming a surgeon or just finding a way to help athletes like myself whenever they're dealing with any types of injuries. The reason why I wanted to do this panel is because I just want people to understand our point of view about attending school in Durham. Some things you guys wouldn't understand unless you actually hear it directly from us, so I'm glad to be able to do this.
So after high school, I plan to go to culinary school and then get like a business degree so I can own a restaurant, I guess. I chose to do this panel because everybody has a voice and their voice should be heard across Durham, I guess.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing, right? This is our future right here. Give another round of applause. That's great stuff. All right, now time to get real. Let's go with the first question. All right, many people believe they have an idea of what it's like being a black or Latino male attending school. But what is one thing you wish people knew about being a black or Latino male in school?
Really, it's not like, I don't really want to go into like the racial thing, but it's like being a black student or a Latino, you get like looked at, like you about to do something bad, or you like just gonna get into some trouble. That's what people would think. So they just like, what's the word? Antagonize or just pick you out of like a crew, and then it's just crazy. But like,
So what is one thing that, if you could tell everybody out here, what's one thing that you wish they knew about you as a black male?
I'm glad I'm black, and I just try to do my best.
Hey, you can't be more real than that. Go ahead, Mr. Graham.
I feel like people should realize that in a classroom, we're all like a representation of our race, and then it's not in the most positive sense, it's in a negative sense, because the second that we deviate from like a norm or what we're supposed to be doing, then automatically we're not black enough or like we're not Latino enough. So I feel like the one thing people should know is that like it's a lot of subconscious pressure, but then it's also like the pressure from your peers. Because if you don't act a certain way enough, they'll say, why are you sounding white? Or like, why are you trying to assimilate? So like, that's what I feel like it is.
Could you say the question one more time? I kind of lost train of thought.
What's one thing you wish people knew about being a Latino male in school?
Well, one thing is that growing up as black or Latino male doesn't really matter. It's not really easy, most of us actually, we get like exposed to a lot of things at a young age. We see things, we go through things, and we feel a lot of pressure. And it's just hard for us to like maintain. Sometimes we live a life of temptation. We do a lot of things, a lot of unwise choices that in order to maintain and survive, put a smile on other people's faces. It's just hard though, man. Oh, I got it.
Honestly, it can be difficult at times because you get attached, you get slapped the label day one before you even say anything, do anything. So I feel like if we from the jump have to prove ourselves from the moment we step, and somebody's always watching you. That's what my family tells me all the time. That you always have eyes on you no matter what. and just being African American male, just you see what goes on TV and society and whatnot. It's sad that that's our everyday life, and you have to hold yourself to a different standard where people of other backgrounds wouldn't understand. And like Michael was saying, we as Black and Latinos males, we have to be able to understand that success is okay, and it's okay to separate yourselves from others if it means that you can be successful. That going on throughout my life, with people that I've interacted with, I've always taught to talk proper, and when I talk, people say, "Oh, you don't sound like us." I'm like, well, "What are you talking about? I'm just talking." Like, it just doesn't make sense that people of our same background still find ways to pull you down because you're on a different pathway than they might be. And I feel like all of us should be able to reach for the same high expectations, regardless of what society thinks or what our other peers think, and that's just how it is.
I don't know how to type that. You know, usually when we first walk in the classrooms or in the school, we're labeled like automatically off rip, and they usually expect us, drop out, become a gang member. But we, as us, we have to be how do I say this? Like, we have to set standards above and beyond to be able to achieve our goals, I guess.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next question. The meaning or purpose of school can differ from student to student, in some cases from adult to adult. So in your opinion, what is the purpose of school? So what is the purpose of school? And anybody can start this one off.
The purpose of school is for us to learn and get an education, not just sit around class, fall asleep, lack off, stuff like that. We're here at school for a reason, not to lack off. We're here to get an education.
And to a deeper point, we go to school also to represent ourselves and represent our families, because our families can't watch over us every moment of the day. So just going to school is being able to put your family in your back and, hey, I'm out here doing what I need to do with my family watching me, and that's what I think the purpose of school is, just to prepare you for life in general, beyond education, even though it's very important. Just being able to handle the pressure of, I have to do this here, even though my parents aren't watching me. I have to carry myself a certain way, because if I don't, people are going to look at me differently and look at my family differently overall.
The reason we go to school, what I think is they're able to so we can be able to develop ourselves and, be able to find out who we want to become in life, and if you really take advantage of it, it could help you in the long run, and you're gonna be successful and you're gonna make it, but you gotta have patience. And that's what I learned.
I feel like the purpose of school is to you need to surpass the bare minimum, because for a lot of people, they were not able to even graduate high school, even though it was the bare minimum. But I also feel like within school, you need to learn how to educate yourselves, because not everything that is taught to you is true at the same time, which is something I've learned going through high school, especially within history classes as well. So I feel like the main thing that you have to do in school is not only surpass that bare minimum on paper, but you have to grow mentally and surpass that bare minimum that's set for your race, so that when you get into the real world and you start going out and doing bigger things, you know what's right and what's wrong, and also what's different from what people will tell you versus what's actually true.
I think the purpose of school is to build our brain, to get us ready for the real world. Because without school, we'd just be stuck. I know the stuff that we going through in school, it don't really be on topic or what we want to learn about, but we gotta focus, stay in there, don't drop out, cause it's not gonna get you nowhere. Dropping out. I just everybody stay in school, stay focused, do your thing.
All right, next question. What do you see as the main issues facing boys of color today?
I say one is people looking at us a different way, I guess, because they blush, like I said last time, and they expect us to do certain things that we don't usually do, like sag our pants, curse, walk around, gang signs, stuff like that, and yeah.
One thing I noticed is that a lot of young children, I noticed that they want to become somebody they're not. They think they live a lifestyle that they're not really living, and if you really think like that, bad outcomes can come out of that, and I think that's one of the problems that we have now.
I feel like the main thing that we face a lot as like a minority in general is just like everybody else's cognitive dissonance. So like the way that they grow up and then the way that they view you is ultimately the way that you're supposed to be, and then that perception is the key thing that's going to affect like your success. But then we have to try harder, like we have to go above and beyond, because the bare minimum and like the bar that's set for other people isn't the bar that's set for us. Like that's probably one of the hardest things, especially in the public school system. In a public school system where it can be predominantly white, you can't just be smart. Like if you're smarter than those who aren't your skin color, oh, he's cheating. So I feel like even when you go above and beyond for people to pull you like 2 steps back, that's one of the things that we face a lot.
So what do you see as the main issues facing boys of color today?
Well, we just get judged a lot about like little things, like things that we can't even control. We can't control that we're black. We can't control that we're Latino. I mean, stay like this forever. We just gotta like stay focused, I guess. Like, but it's like we targeted. Like people look at us in one way, they just expect us to do something like what they want us to do, or it's just crazy. Yeah, that's the main reason.
I believe it's just the lack of expectation that is set by the school system sometimes. In some situations, it's just like, why should a teacher be surprised when a boy of colors is doing well in their class, when we're in the class every day, we're learning the same material? Like, why can't you hold us to the same standard as everyone else and not lower it down for us? Because 9 times out of 10, we can probably be smarter than the person you're trying to cater towards, or just raising the expectations. And I feel like we don't have guidance sometimes, because teachers don't expect a lot sometimes. And I know I've had to prove myself throughout the years to let teachers know, and let my future teachers know that I'm not a slow lead. I come to class every day, and you're gonna get my best effort no matter what. You can challenge me, I'm coming right back with something even better. So just continue to push us, and try to gain an understanding of who we are and where we come from, and use that as motivation and not use it as a levy against us. So like a person might be from a certain place of Durham or whatever, don't use that against them. Use that to motivate them. And I feel like that's what's holding us back a lot in the classroom, just not having a high level of expectations that we can achieve, we can succeed, even though we're people of color, boys of color. So
that's actually a great segue, and I'm gonna ask you, David, this next question to start off, okay? That's actually a great segue to the next question, because research suggests there's a strong correlation between positive teacher-student relationships and student achievement, which of course, influences the overall learning environment. And I'm sure everyone has heard the quote by John Maxwell: students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So with that being said, what grade were you in when a teacher showed you that they genuinely cared about you, and how did they show it to you?
I would say one particular experience would be like first grade, second grade. Just being able to know that the teacher really cared how I felt and stuff like that. Having a teacher to know that, okay, I'm about to tell myself a little bit. In the first grade, I had got a whooping in the morning, so I was pretty sad the rest of the day. But then just having the teacher to notice that in the first grade that I was feeling down, and they still lifted me up, and that just showed me that teachers really do care. And I'm glad I've had great experiences with teachers for the most part throughout my education, and just having that good relationship between me and my teachers, it goes a really long way. So first and second grade throughout, really, except for a teacher in the sixth grade, but I'm not gonna speak on that.
For me, it was in kindergarten because, when I was home, like when I didn't like start going to school, I didn't like, it was hard for me like growing up. And like once I started kindergarten, like I didn't know any better. And like, I was just the kid that would always act dope in class, always be disruptive. And my teacher, she would see that I would have potential in me as a young student, and like, shout out to her because she would actually take the time to work with me and talk to me, and she would help me out, and she would actually set goals for me like at a young age, and it's surprising because I know at a young age it's crazy.
The first time I felt like a teacher like actually genuinely cared would probably be like my freshman year of high school, because like my freshman year, it was wild. Like I was not the person I am now. Like I was really like far gone with a lot of stuff that I was doing. A lot of people like I was hanging with, and I had a gym teacher who was also my health teacher, but he actually like genuinely cared about his students. And he wanted to have this thing called like, I think it was like a mental health awareness day or like a relaxation day. He was like, I want y'all to do something that shows who y'all are as a person. And like me, my freshman year, I was dealing with like depression, and I felt like I wasn't good enough for a lot of people, and especially myself. So he told me, he's like, and I used to write poetry, so I wrote a poem about it, and I was reading to the class, and like people was like breaking down, and like then after that, he followed up on me, and like he continuously like grew and chose to have a relationship with me that was healthy, and it was like building me up into who I needed to be like as a person.
The first time a teacher ever showed that she cared for me, I remember her to this day. It was at DSA, Durham School of the Arts, and I got accepted in 6th grade. And she'd see how like I just walk around, like I would hang around a lot of people and stuff, but she'd just see how like other people, like how I was just like messing around with other people and just like standing like out, not being out of the way, but like, yeah, something like that. Like I just like, I don't know, she just like showed that she cared for me. Like she'd bring me snacks every day in the morning time, like to get me right, do my work. She was an English teacher too. Like she really looked out for me. Like she showed me love.
Thank you for that, for those stories. Next question. Research showed. I'm sorry. Did you get the answer, Dante? My fault. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's good. I would say 7th grade year. Actually, one of my teachers that I was going to talk about today is here, Coach Barnes. He actually showed that he cared because there's this organization that he brought up in the school year, YMA. It's called YMA. So it's really with high schoolers, but he made a middle school part of it. He named it Junior YMA. So he invited me to Junior YMA's 7th grade year, and I joined. At first, I'm like, this is actually good for me. It's for minorities, like helping them get off the streets, get back to the community, and like better yourself so you can go to college. And when I first got my line shirt, my line name is Ice Cube. Still don't know how I got that name, but Coach Barnes has actually been a great help. High school, through middle school, say 8th grade year, he's been the biggest help. You know, giving me a mentor, guiding me through middle school, and getting me ready for high school. Yeah.
That's great. So, next question. Research shows that across our nation, boys of color are more likely to be suspended than white students. Why do you think boys of color are suspended more than white students?
It's because we walk around with a target on our back. Usually, a Caucasian male would say, "Oh, I don't want to be here," and walk out. Sometimes it's okay with it, but we gotta use the bathroom. We can't go. We'll walk out. They'll easily suspend us for something like that, but it's not as equal as it is for us and them.
I feel like the main reason why we probably get suspended at a higher rate is mainly because it's kind of hard. It's kind of like it goes back to that whole expectation thing. It's like I expect him to do this, so I'm gonna do this. But also there is a lot of like aggression. There is a more noticeable aggression towards children of color and young men of color in the school system. Mainly because you take a child who's in the 2nd grade who is enjoying what he's doing, but he's a young black boy, they'll say he has a learning disorder or that he has ADHD. If you take a young Caucasian boy who is disrespectful in class, they'll say, oh, he's into it, but he needs to be coddled into learning. So automatically, it's like they don't want us to succeed, but they want to make it harder for us to succeed. That's the main reason why I would say SROs are more involved with issues with minority students, and they need a presence when it's a minority student, versus you need one-on-one time when it's somebody who is of a lighter complexion.
Question here was, why do you think boys of color are suspended more than white students?
I'm gonna just keep it real. Okay. Like, alright, so like, it can be like the first day of school, and like, you'll see like a white kid, he'll go to class, like, or you see a black guys or a black group of boys, they'll be in a whole group. Oh, we already think about, oh, we're gonna turn up this school year, do this and that. It's just really about what you put your mindset to. It's not really like, oh, black people get suspended more than white kids, because I've seen white kids get suspended before. But it's just like, it's like we more targeted, because like, oh, we looked at more, oh, he gonna do this bad thing, oh, he slipped one time, oh, he's suspended. But I don't know how to explain it, it's just crazy.
I feel like this issue starts beyond the classroom. I feel like a lot of times the people that are in high charge and whoever runs whatever the school has going on, they see that people get away with stuff a lot on television and in real life. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of this stuff isn't even televised, but it's not televised because of them getting away with it. It doesn't become an issue until we try to make it an issue. They try to sweep it under the rug, and it's something that's learned because it happens in the classroom. So a person like myself might do something and have heavier consequences than a person that's doing the same exact thing of another complexion. So I feel as if the suspension and the targeting, once again, is something that's just been a part of our society for so long that we can oftentimes feel blind to it, and we don't even see it sometimes, but it's happening. So, but for my school specifically, we don't have that many Caucasian people, so I don't really see it at the same extent as other schools in Durham, but I still know it's an issue throughout our city and society, period. And I think it's just because of things that they see on television and things that people get away with repeatedly. and it's something that's learned, and we just have to do better ourselves. We have to take 3 steps to get to that 1 step, and we just have to continue to do that.
One of the reasons why I think we Latino and Black males get suspended more is probably because we get involved with a lot of negative things going on in school. Like, you know, if a fight goes out, you know, it'd be a lot of people there all around it. It's kind of hard to explain this, but how could I say this? Could y'all come back to me? Could y'all come back to me? Oh, I'm the last one? Oh, alright. With that being said, it's hard for us, man, because like I said, it all depends like what's going on at home. And you know, some of us, we have a lot of pressure that's being like hidden in us, and, like that we haven't, you know, let out yet. And some of us, we can't take some of the things that teachers be doing sometimes. Like, I remember when I was in middle school, I was fast on my teacher because like I'd tell him before, like when I would walk in the class, I'd tell him, please leave me alone, I'm not having a good day. And like, you know, he'll still try to find a way to like come mess with me. And you know, that would disturb me, and it would make me spaz out, and you know, just make me go to ISS for that. That's what I.
Thank you. Next question. What is one thing that we could start doing in schools today that will benefit boys of color coming after you?
The teachers helping the students out, you know, like teachers should help the students, like, you know, find a way, like find something they like doing, you know, a way to dedicate themselves, like find something they love doing, like have a passion for it, and just stick to it. And that's what it is.
Teachers should just pay attention. That's the biggest thing. They tell us to pay attention all the time. So I feel like teachers should do the same thing. Being a teacher is more than just presenting information. There's so much more that's about being a teacher. Just learning that from my grandmother, because she's a retired teacher. Just learning that you have to have compassion for your students, and I think oftentimes that's what's lacking in a lot of our teachers, because they don't love their job enough. It shows in how they deal with the students. And don't be a teacher if you don't like kids. Because I've had teachers in the past that say, well, I don't like kids anyway. No. I'm like, why are you teaching them? So I feel that just having compassion with students and just trying to understand where everybody's coming from, because everybody's not in the same place or not where you want them to be. So just try to understand, just get an understanding of your students, and in the long run, it's going to help a lot more than you just trying to teach information. If you get to know your students and get to have a positive relationship with them, then that's going to go a very long way.
I say, you know, just give us a second chance, because you know, usually we'll blow our first chance with our first impression. You know, we'll come in mad, we'll go off on you, and then they'll give up on us. I say just give us a second chance, you know, hold us to a higher standard, and we'll probably perform better in class.
Yeah, like to add on what the homie said, like I feel like as minorities, like we're the poster child for like second chances, but the main reason we're poster children for the second chances is because you didn't want to give us the resources that were necessary to make a good first impression. So to add on to that, like in order for us to make a good first impression, we first need like a better teacher pedagogy. Like we need a better training of teachers to learn how to like treat students of color, because the main thing that's the problem is a student has no problem with learning. Like, nobody has a problem with learning. We haven't made, like, I have problems with speaking before because I'm a stoic person. I like to keep to myself, but I can still retain information. Like, anybody can retain information. But, like, the problem is when you have a teacher who already has, like, a preconceived notion about a student based upon the color of their skin, that's where you get hostility from. I feel like that's what people don't realize. Me personally, I'm a very calm person, but I also have a switch as well. So if I've dealt with teachers in the past who have had me escorted out of class because they assumed I had drugs on me or they assumed something about me. But what the main problem is that teacher only thought that about me because of my skin color or because the way I choose to act or because of the vernacular that I choose to use around people of my own skin color. So like, even when it comes to code switching and stuff like that, they'll still say he's not doing something he's supposed to be doing. So I feel like if you train the teacher better, then they can educate the student better. Like, that's the easiest way to like actually get through to a student is like relate to them and not look at them as something that they're not.
Facts. Don't get us wrong. Like, teachers do care. Like, they care about us. They care. Like, they want us to do good. It's just like it's what we want to do. It's just like people mindset. They just, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's like, but the teacher just not trying to be like so picky with other students. Like, I'm gonna teach them this. I'm gonna teach them that. And then like don't teach the whole class or work with the whole class. It's just not gonna function right. It's just, I don't know.
And you made a good point into our last actual panel questions that we have, and then we'll take one from the audience. So you said not a lot of teachers do good things. So with that being said, what are some ways that either your teacher or the schools that you've attended have done a great job in helping you to learn and get to the point where you're at right now?
I just got like, say if you had like a bad day or something, and like you walk out of class, like it's time, the bell just rung and it's time to switch classes. Like teachers just be like, oh, since he had a bad day, let me talk to him, see how you doing. They just, he just walk out, like we just walk out mad, still the whole day and end up getting in trouble, or just like teachers don't try to talk to us nowadays. They just let it just go by or just flow by, just mess everything up. But it's just like in our mindset, what we gotta do for ourselves, we gotta think positive.
So as a question, I said, is there anything good, like I said, the teachers have been doing or good things at your school that you can think of as we finish up? Because you did make a point that their teachers do care. So what are some things that you can think of that they help you get to where you're at today?
Like after school programs, like working after school, finishing your work on the computer. That's showing that they care for us, like trying to get us through school, trying to make us pass our grade. Yeah, that's about it, after school.
It would probably be just like being there, not just as a teacher, because there is like, I understand there is a wall, and that's respect, that's between like a student and a teacher, and it has to be reciprocated, it has to be given from both parties before it can be accepted by another person. But I think that teachers that show that they truly care, like not even just saying it, but like the acts that you do, those go a really long way, because I have a teacher who is he's a creative writing teacher, and he was also my English teacher, and he is an amazing teacher because creative writing was not a class that was at my school. He pushed to have that class for about 3 years, and that class is funded completely by him. Mind you, it's on a teacher salary as well. So even when he buys notebooks for like the classrooms, and then he spends time individually like talking to people and talking to students and analyzing like who they are, and then helping them become like who they want to be, that shows that you care. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you're gonna be able to do this, but no, just tell me how I can do some of these things, or like give me ideas for how I can do some of these things. Like positive reinforcement is one thing, but then like after that reinforcement, a student can slip. But if you're consistent, then that actually goes a longer way.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. One thing that helped me in school was ISS. I would go in ISS sometimes, And you know, I had a teacher who go by the name of Coach Rogers. I don't know if y'all know him. He's a football coach, and you know, we would go in there and he would teach us discipline. He would make us go in there, can't sit down because he would yell at you. Sometimes he'll make some students cry, but you know, it's just that's what helped me out a lot, because he would talk like life-wise with us, with all of us that were having trouble, you know, going to ISS consistently. He was just looking out in a good way, but some of us would see it as a negative way because the way he treated it, but really it all helped us out at the end of the day. And you know, I'm thankful for that.
This past year was probably one of the hardest years I've gone through in terms of high school, and just dealing with things in and out of the classroom. And one day my teacher had played something, and that kind of hit me a certain way, and I completely shut down. But what this teacher did was she wouldn't let me leave the classroom before she knew I was all right. And that's just something that just goes so far with me, knowing that I have a teacher that genuinely cared about how I felt with stuff that had nothing to do with my education or school, just making sure that I was all right. And just teachers, even just talking to each other about when somebody's going through a particular thing, and just all the teachers are on the same page, as they know and they understand that if this person, or if I'm off today, this probably is the reason why. And just being able to care and understand and show that. That's how teachers have really cared for me throughout my experience at my school. And it's just, I'm really, really grateful for it, because without teachers like them, and having great friends, that as well, having great friends, it makes the whole experience a lot better. And I really appreciate them for all that they've done for me.
I'll have to say my freshman year, my math one teacher, Mr. Jackson, he was pretty good to me, you know. But I say one good thing that he's done is he's found many ways to help me when I was confused in class, and he's found different ways to help me outside of school. So we both have PlayStations and we play Madden. He said, "I bet you right now if you couldn't find a slip, I'd throw a touchdown pass." Smack me every time. I'm really thankful for him, because you know he's really helped me. And my off days, he'll give me life advice. He said, "I want to wake up every Saturday morning and see you on that college court." And he's really just helped me, you know, a lot in school and outside of school.
Thank you. One more question as we wrap this up, and this was actually from came from the audience, and it was a good segue you had. You said you asked about life, so I'm gonna ask you this question: if you could go back and tell your younger self, maybe elementary school age, one thing you learned about life, what would it be? So thinking back, or thinking now, and you could go back and tell your younger self something about life, what would it be?
I would say don't give up. There was plenty of times where I gave up in life or in school, and you know it's really hurt me in a negative way. But now I continue to push myself to be stronger and get better.
I would tell my younger self that life is like a box of chocolates. I'm just kidding. But
that's that Forrest Gump reference. That's good.
But for real, I would tell myself that no matter what you go through, always remain true to yourself, because at the end of the day, your name is the only thing that you have, and that's your brand. So you have to make sure that you take care of yourself and just continue to be the person that you were raised to be. And that's pretty much what I'll tell myself. I'm gonna tell my older self that now. So, yeah.
I probably would have told myself, work on the things that you don't like working on as much, because those things would be a lot more beneficial to you in the future. And then I definitely would tell myself, at a very young age, I'd stay away from the streets, because it's nothing in there for you. You're gonna make the hardest decisions debate whether or not you actually want to risk your life over something. So that's one thing I would definitely tell my younger self.
If I could tell my younger self something, I would tell him to just take advantage and live life. You know, it's gonna be obstacles coming your way. You know, you just gotta be prepared for the worst. You know, and it's just, you know, just to maintain, stay 10 toes down, and to take advantage of school, and yeah.
What I tell my younger self is like, cause I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of regret, and I'm too young to be saying these too. For real, like I didn't lost friends, family, like getting to the streets, like, but that's a waste of time. Like it is, like the streets gonna always be there. You gonna grow. You gonna one day you gonna have to go to college, get married. Like you just gotta like focus for like your future and stop always living in the past. Cause like it's not gonna get you nowhere. That's why I just want to tell my. That's why I want to tell my younger self. So I would have been straight already, like passing my classes and stuff like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? We got some young, sharp men up here. Let's give them a round of applause. Excellent answering questions.
You guys can have a seat. I just don't leave. We still got some time. We will end on time. But when I tell you that these young men said some things that are powerful, y'all give it a like. How many of you heard something you like? That's it right there. Like that's it. Like if you were in church, some of y'all would have stood up and said, "See, I ain't even say it. You said it for me." So here's what's great. All of them have awesome leadership in their schools that they're in now. And they are not, and I'll tell you guys this, you are not who you will become. And the greatness is inside of each and every one of you. So, and I also say that you're getting Zaxby's for free for a whole year. So we have partnered with Zaxby's for this event. We have Ms. Lisa Green here representing Zaxby's from Roxborough Road. She feels as though it is so important to give to our students that she's going to give them Zaxby's free for an entire year, so the parents don't have to worry about feeding them. And I'll give that to you. But not only that, she wants to make sure that some people in the audience today, you guys don't get caught in the rain without an umbrella, so I'm going to pull, Devontae, if you could do me a favor, if you could pull a number, if you go ahead and pull your tickets, if I can get Mr. Larry Thomas and Mr. DeWarren Langley to come closer. I don't know where. So if you can pull one for me. Hold on. So your number should be at the bottom of your ticket. You're going to get the umbrella, and it is 001266. You can't see. Do we need to turn the lights up? All right, everybody turn their phones on and put it. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to get the lights turned up for you. While we're doing this, I'd like to thank all the volunteers. Dr. Bullock and our office is so large, it's just the two of us, but we couldn't have done it without the wonderful support from everyone who was helping you sign in, those people who were passing out the tickets. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Back to our numbers. 001266. Going once, twice, just out of here. 001166. 66, nobody. Okay. 1325. First two are 00. 1320. Right here. Right here. So you can no longer blame it on the rain. There you go. All right. So the next thing that we want to give away are, well, let's just go. We have a wonderful Zaxby's portfolio. I don't know what's, buy one, get one free salads from Zaxby's. This number is 1161. 1161. Already? Come on up, man. 11. Is it yours? I know you don't want no salad. But come over. I'm gonna give you 4 free cookies. Unless you want the salad, or you want the cookie. Oh, that's his mama. See that? See, you want a salad? Or you want a cookie? Both. Okay, I'm gonna meet you halfway. Which one? Cookies. See, mama? Make sure you give your mama 2 of them cookies. All right. This one will be for 2 free appetizers. 2 free appetizers at Zaxby's. This is $12.38. $12.38. Somebody. $12.33. $12.33.
Shake it around.
Oh, shake it. I almost sung a song after I said shake it. I don't want to say nothing about a salt shaker. Listen, next one, 1172. 1172. 1172. Once, twice. 1300. Oh, we have one. Go ahead and pull out a memo. So the next one, we're going to give, I hadn't even gave away the 2 salads. I'm going to say this one for last. That one you get to feed a lot of people. 1170. 1170. $12.15. $11.78. $11.48. I don't know what my people did, they just threw me in there. And I already thanked them. $13.37. $13.37. Y'all stop talking about me. Dr. Bullock's gonna get me tomorrow. $13.31. $13.31. $12.45.
Just point to somebody.
12, just point to somebody? Okay. Anybody got a birthday this week? Nah. Anybody else? After starting tomorrow. Anybody got one in April? You do? Okay. When's your birthday? April 25th. Okay, here you go. This is our wonderful Associate Superintendent Transformation. Thank you so much. All right, and our last one we're going to give away will be a free salad, a free meal, as well as a free sandwich. All right? So, who can tell me our deputy superintendent's name? Just keep your hand up if you can tell me. Good. All right, good. Here we go. Here's the next one. No, keep your hands up. Okay, great. Who can tell me the address to where we are? Keep your hand up. No, you can't. You don't. So you didn't get the first one right. You can't put your hand up second. Like we got people like. Well now. All right, DJ. All we do is win. All right. Cool. So do we have any RPCs in here? Any RPCs in here? Great. Okay, great. So RPC, keep your hands up. Awesome. So, odd or even? Just say odd or even, sir. Somebody help you. Here you go. That was really good. Okay. But I do appreciate you guys. We have some people here right now. If you have an announcement for the good of the group, that something's getting ready to happen in your organization that Durham Public Schools needs to know about, the students need to know about, the parents need to know about, could you raise your hand and speak from where you are real quick? Real quick. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is LeVon Barnes. That's Dante. So much is on Dante every day for life, right? That counts.
Anyway, so Dante mentioned about Young Male Achievers, and Young Male Achievers is a program that I started here in 2015, and they have done some amazing work. They've done over 45,000 hours of community service in the last 5 years. They have virtually eliminated in-school suspension in the last 5 years for boys of color. And they have been recognized by President Obama, Governor Cooper, County Commission, City Council. So on next Monday, tax day, can't forget it, the City Council, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that they're going to write a proclamation on behalf of these young men and call it the Young Male Achievers Day of Service and Scholarship. And so at 7 o'clock, we want everybody to come down because these young black and brown boys who have done such great things, and let me mention this, almost $1 million in scholarships in 3 graduating classes too. That's 7 o'clock, City Council.
Hey, my name is Valerie Anderson. I'm with the Emily K Center, and I first just want to say these young men make me very proud. I am not only a professional and a member of the Durham community for many years. I have 3 children, and 2 of them are young black men, 21 and 12. And I'm proud of you, and I know they'd be proud of you. And you make us mamas very proud. But what I want to share with the community is that Emily K Center will be holding a college expo on Saturday, April 20th. We've been throughout all the high schools doing college access workshops. This is not just a college fair to come fill bags with literature. It's a capacity building workshops. We really want to talk with our students and our parents about what it means and why college is an important next step for you and how to get through that process feeling supported and affirmed. So Saturday, April 20th at the Emily K Center. Thank you.
And my name is Desdemona Face, and I'm retired, but our sorority, Alpha Zeta Omega of AKAs here in Durham, will be sponsoring a college prep seminar on April the 12th as well at the Ivy Community Center on Fayetteville Street to work with children and parents to let them know what types of courses and things like that are needed for at each grade level for college preparation. And it's from 10:30 to 12 noon.
Oh, hi, my name is William Jackson. I'm here representing Village of Wisdom, and I wanted to let the community know about our family learning villages, which will happen on May the 17th and May the 18th. These family learning villages are for black families who are raising kids in schools, and it's basically targeted around having conversations in community about race and preparing our children for like experiences they might have in the classroom around discrimination and building community. And so for attending, parents get a $150 stipend, and then we also have breakfast and lunch and childcare. So again, the dates are May the 17th and May the 18th. That's a Friday and Saturday. Where is it going to be at? It is going to be at the W.G. Pearson Center, but you want to make sure that you sign up. So there's some flyers here, and I'm going to leave them out there, and y'all can feel free to get them.
So thank you guys so much for sharing your announcements. We have 2 specific programs here in Durham Public Schools that we wanted these men to share with you what they're doing for our students so that you can tap into resources that you may not be aware of.
Good evening, my name is Larry Thomas. I am the CEO at Thomas Mentor Leadership Academy here in Durham, where we mentor young men between the ages of 9 and 18 years old who's raised by a single parent or they're being raised by their grandparents in the program. We're at our capacity, which is 30 young men in the program. And out of 30 young men, 30 of those young men, 20 of them go to Durham Public Schools. We have young men from 4 different counties that we provide purpose, motivation, and direction for. And I really appreciate the principals of those schools that we have built relationships with so we can come in and check on our young men. We are not mental health evaluators, so stop asking us when we come to your school, are we coming for mental health? We are coming to have lunch with our young men. As their mentors, we're their mentors. So that's the work that we provide. You can reach us on our website at tmlaacademy.org, and we're excited about the work that we're doing, and you'll see a lot of stuff on our social media pages about your students that in Durham Public Schools that you're seeing doing great things that out there. So thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm actually going to start with a question. Can anyone tell me who Charles Hamilton Houston is? Anyone know who he is? Not a single soul in the room. Okay, well, not you. Well, that's typically how I start off my presentations, working with college students. But I'm executive director of the Charles Hamilton Houston Foundation. And for those of you who do not know who Charles Hamilton Houston is, you should know who he is. He's the man who killed Jim Crow. He's the guy who developed the legal strategy for what ultimately became the Brown versus Board of Education legal lawsuit, but he also trained lawyers to challenge segregation throughout this country. One of those lawyers being Thurgood Marshall, who, of course, subsequently after challenging segregation through Brown versus Board of Education, was sworn to the Supreme Court. So now you all should know who Charles Hamilton Houston is. And the reason I chose to name this foundation after him is based on what we do with this organization, which is helping young men understand and develop a strategy for success for their lives. We work with 137 young men that are in different colleges and universities. We have about 50 that are currently in Durham Public Schools, high schools, and we're looking to expand to have next year start serving 100 young men. But the goal is not just for them to join and to participate in programs, but to find out what their goals are and to support them from high school up until they enter their career. One of my students who started with me before I started the foundation, but I had started mentoring when he graduated from high school in Durham Public Schools, is currently finishing his last year at Duke University in their Masters of Engineering program. And every summer while he was in college, he had a paid internship. And so that's the kind of work and outcomes that we're looking to produce. And I challenge you all, as you all continue to work with young men of color, let's move beyond just having meetings and gatherings and conversations, but think intentionally about what results are you helping these young men accomplish. Thank you. And I have flyers and a business card for those who would like them.
Thank you.
Hi, as I said, my name is Lisa Green. I'm the new area marketing director for Zaxby's. But I want to say we're excited about being in this community. I have 7 other communities, but we are also sponsoring the annual Boys and Men's of Color Conference on Thursdays. It's going to be held at North Central University, and they're going to cover all different kinds of subjects. So we want to invite you to go ahead, and it is free. They have the capacity, but they are taking more boys on, and it's going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning at the BND Auditorium. So come on out, and we truly think it takes teamwork to make a dream work. We understand there's no I in teams. E for effort for everybody. Even though it's about me sometimes, but it takes effort for everybody. Without the E and me team, there would be none of us. Because your naysayer said go, said not go, and you said go. So I'd just like to say thank you for allowing us to be in the community, and we look forward to growing and making fantastic things happen.
She said the 13th, right? 13th.
So thank you all so much for coming. So here's what we like. Those who can, those who will, the Office of Public Affairs, though. Our Office of Public Affairs wants to take a picture with as many of you that can come up to the stage with our wonderful students. Following that, those of you who want to take pictures with the students, I know I do, because they did it. Guys, you killed it, literally. Somebody said it like, you ripped it. In the words of Dr. Bullock, he'll text me, that was fire. I'm going to get that text, that was fire. That's what he's going I'll get that text later on tonight. That was fire. But you guys, did great. So thank you guys so much for coming, but those who can, those who will, if you come up here just take a picture with them, it'd be awesome. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. But this is our last Barbershop Talk for this school year, but look forward to the next things that we have, because it's not just a conversation, it's a movement. Thank you.
And one last shout out. I want to shout out again the principals and the families of these young men that are here supporting them tonight. Please give them a round of applause.
Yes. We didn't even tell y'all, they're principals in the building, but we can't tell you what school they go to. Have a great one.
They're here.
Okay, so those of you who did the shirt challenge, you want to make sure you get your shirts. Mary Griffin, she's over here by our shirts. She's going to be checking to make sure that you did the challenge. I'm going to get out the way so y'all can get this picture. Let's go. You need me? You need the mic? Great.
So for those that are going to participate in this picture real quick, if you don't mind, we do have the risers up here, so we want to get the our panelists on the top where they were sitting, and then we want to get the community on the risers and on the floor in front. And for those that won shirts, if you got new shirts, make sure you hold the shirts up also. So there's plenty of room up here. We have these risers up here, so if we can get everybody moving towards the risers for me, please.
We're going to go ahead and take the picture. We'll speak to them in a minute. Let's take this picture. We'll have everybody up in a minute.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let these, the couple of people that are standing in front, I need you to move to your left or to your right, as long as it's out in front of the photo for me.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Is it a good one?
So we want to get some photographs real quick with the panelists and our organizers, and also with our superintendent. And if we have board members that are still remaining, we'd like to get a picture with them also. All right, let's go ahead and our panelists, can we get our panelists, our student panelists? Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter. Get this picture with your panelists? Yes.
So what do you want right now? You want just...
With you and your panelists, yes. You, Dr. Bullock.
All right, we just, yeah. And then y'all can get it.
Okay.
You too.
Y'all want to chill with us? Yeah. You speaking SAT words and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And also, I'm glad I ran into you because I just heard a class that teachers are going around.
Zaxby's on us, yo.
Oh my gosh, so right. So on going this then we'll change the day. But if you will find out for me, I would make a new. Okay. All right. I think there's because it's an optional word. Okay, good. All right.
Okay, hold it, please. Dr. Rebecca?
The guys who move the books for us are doing it as an in-kind donation, and it's just easier if we can stay on that day. Okay. And if not, I don't know when March starts. What time will you deliver? I have to check with them because usually
Thank you.
yeah, because this happened with us last year at Lakewood, and we were and then so yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
Come on in. Anyway.
Zaxby's for a whole week.
You coming back in here?
I don't even know you ain't get that. I know. I said Zaxby's for us for a whole year.
What's up, man? Did you get your shirt? You want a shirt? You want a shirt? I appreciate it. I'm good. How are you?
Looks like